So the future for Marvel and Star Wars could be in some serious trouble, especially when it comes to the Disney Plus releases. But really, in reality, when it comes to the Disney Plus releases, the theatrical releases, the movies, the shows, it's all just not looking too good right now. And I have to say that the blame is probably more on Marvel than it is for Star Wars. Let's check out exactly what I'm talking about today. So in this video, we're going to be talking about this article mainly, but also a couple of other articles as well. This article says Disney Plus subscriber growth to slow in September quarter, CEO Bob Chapek says. Now, if you remember back a couple months ago and even up to a year ago, maybe even 2 years ago when The Mandalorian season 1 came out, they were doing nothing but bragging about the Disney Plus numbers, talking about how it's on pace to catch up with Netflix by 2022. Now, I don't think that's the case anymore. But back when Disney Plus first came out, especially when the pandy hit, Disney was doing nothing but talking about how good their numbers were for Disney Plus, bragging about their numbers constantly. And then recently, they just kind of stopped talking about it. And they even came out and gave a statement saying that they're not going to talk about the Disney Plus numbers anymore. They're not going to release any more numbers for their shows, for their subscribers, no matter what it was. They're just not going to talk about Disney Plus numbers unless they hit another big milestone. And now the fact that they're coming out and saying something that's not a big milestone. CEO Bob Chapek comes out and says that Disney Plus subscriber growth is expected to slow in the September quarter. That's not good news. They said that they weren't going to come out and talk about the numbers unless they hit another subscriber goal or unless they hit another milestone in some type of number. This is not a good sign at all. And like I said, they were just bragging about how Disney Plus was reportedly going to catch up with Netflix in streaming wars by 2022. And that was coming from Disney. That was saying that they were on pace. They're the people that were, doing their numbers, running their predictions over at Disney were saying that they're going to catch up with Netflix by 2022. Obviously not the case anymore. And, I think that the pandy even pumped up their numbers even more. And like I said, this is going to make struggles for Marvel and for Star Wars, no doubt, if Disney Plus starts to slow down in production, if they stop producing the same amount of money that they're producing now. If they slow down with the numbers, and that's going to make them slow down with the budgets for these shows and for these movies, because think about the budgets that they've had for these Disney Plus shows like WandaVision, like Falcon and Winter Soldier, and especially like The Mandalorian, like the Book of Boba Fett, Obi-Wan Kenobi. I'm sure it's going to have a huge budget. Probably the numbers are probably out for that already, but I don't know the exact numbers. But even so, if these numbers start to slow down, if the Disney Plus growth starts to really slow down and they start to really not make as much money as they expected or as they were in the past, then these budgets for these shows and the amount of these shows that they're going to be putting out are going to slow down. There's no doubt about it, because think about what we're getting in 2022. As a Star Wars fan, that's going to be the best year of my life. We're going to get Obi-Wan, we're going to get Andor, we're going to get Mando season 3, we're going to get Book of Boba Fett in December of this year, bleeding into the beginning of 2022. 2022 is going to be a really good year for a Star Wars fan if they can pull all these shows off, which I have faith that they will. Other than Andor is kind of a question mark for me, but other than Andor, I think they're going to be able to pull these shows off and make them pretty good, especially as someone who's a big fan of the prequels, and kind of the prequel era of Star Wars is what got me into Star Wars and what made me fall in love with Star Wars. So to see Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen come back for the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, that's something that I'm really looking forward to. And it's probably going to be, that's probably like the pinnacle so far of Star Wars content that we've gotten under Disney. That's the show, that's the time period, that's the actors, that's the storyline that I've been wanting to see ever since Revenge of the Sith. So I'm really excited for 2022 when it comes to Star Wars. But 2023, it could be the same exact thing. We could get the same amount, we could get the same quality, we could get the same hype around all these Star Wars shows if Disney Plus keeps going in a positive direction. But the fact that they said that they weren't going to come out and release any more numbers, and then Bob Chapek comes out and says that he expects the subscriber growth to slow, it's kind of, I take this as, you can let me know in the comments if you disagree, I take this as Bob Chapek kind of posturing, kind of warning the investors, kind of warning the shareholders that, hey, we expect these numbers to go down in September. Don't freak out when they do. And I don't think that's a good thing. I don't think that they're truly expecting it for any other reason other than maybe people are just losing interest in Disney Plus, because it's not like they have a lack of things coming to Disney Plus in September, or it's not like they have a lack of things on Disney Plus in September. I mean, Star Wars Visions just dropped a couple of days ago. We have November 12th is Disney Plus Day, where I believe Shang-Chi is going to be on Disney Plus. So we're going to see a lot of featurettes about Boba Fett and a lot of featurettes about Marvel, a couple more about Star Wars, maybe even a sneak peek into the Kenobi show. Who knows? But November 12th is Disney Plus Day. So the fact that they're expecting it to go down in this quarter, it's not a good sign, and the fact that he's coming out and saying it is not a good sign. That means that it's probably going to go down quite a bit, or at least, the growth is going to slow quite a bit. Like I said, in my opinion, the blame is mostly on Marvel, because back whenever they were bragging about the Disney Plus numbers constantly, really the only things that were coming out on Disney Plus was The Mandalorian. Now, The Mandalorian was kind of saving The Mandalorian. Let's face it, The Mandalorian has made Disney Plus what it is today. Without The Mandalorian, Disney Plus would be nothing. And look at the shows that came out in 2021 that's really slowing the growth of Disney Plus. And like I said, the pandy should have nothing to do with this. It should, if anything, boost the numbers for Disney Plus, because people, couldn't go out and see movies in theaters. They had to watch them on Disney Plus. They had to watch these shows on Disney Plus. So let's take a look at some of the 2021 releases for Disney Plus. WandaVision is one of them, and then a couple of shows and movies that no one really cares about: Raya and the Last Dragon, The King's Man, Falcon and Winter Soldier, another Marvel show, Bob's Burgers, Ron's Gone Wrong, Black Widow, another Marvel project. Really no Star Wars yet, and you can kind of see why the numbers would be going down. It's because the Marvel stuff hasn't delivered, and the Star Wars stuff with The Mandalorian season 1 and 2 really delivered. Really delivered. I think that the Luke Skywalker episode of The Mandalorian season 2, the finale, it was one of the most rewatched episodes of television of all time. So that really delivered for Disney and for Disney Plus, whereas these Marvel shows have kind of been lackluster with their hype on the internet, with their ratings on IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes. They're just not doing that well. And then Loki was probably the one that did the most. It probably had the most hype on social media, I would say. It had the most people talking about it. It had the most buzz in between episodes. But it did nothing compared to The Mandalorian season 1, compared to The Mandalorian season 2. And you can see that reflected in the Disney Plus numbers. There's no doubt about it. There's no questioning it. These Marvel shows and these Marvel movies like Black Widow and Shang-Chi is coming out November 12th on Disney Plus, and people are still unsubscribing. The growth is still slowing. It's undeniable that these Marvel shows and that these Marvel movies have just not delivered for Disney Plus, and that whenever the Star Wars stuff comes out, they better hope that it goes back to normal. They better hope that it goes back to the growth that it had during The Mandalorian season 1 and season 2. Maybe they need Baby Yoda back. Maybe that's the only thing that made Disney Plus what it was. Who knows? But all I know is the blame is to be on these Marvel shows and these Marvel movies, because that's the only thing that has come out in 2022. I think we might have seen a couple of episodes of Mando in 2022, but I don't even know if that's the case. Maybe The Mandalorian season 2 bled into 2021 a little bit, but not much. 2021 has been dominated by Marvel. This has been Marvel's year. That's what they've been saying all along. This has been Marvel's year. Next year will be Star Wars' year. And if Star Wars' year doesn't come out and deliver next year, we could be in some serious trouble, not just for Marvel, but for everything that's under the Disney Plus banner. Because Disney Plus, Bob Chapek has come out and said that Disney Plus is kind of the future for not just Marvel, but mostly Star Wars. Star Wars is going to be the place or Disney Plus is going to be the place where Star Wars goes now. That's where they're going to primarily be releasing stuff on, and you can see that with the release schedule. I mean, they scheduled maybe 6, 7, 8 shows if you count the Lando show and then the Droid show with R2 and 3PO. And then there's only 2 movies that they scheduled. I guess 3 technically if you count the one. They only have 2 that are officially going to be scheduled and officially going to be released, and that's the Taika Waititi one and the Patty Jenkins one. But then we also have that Kevin Feige one that he's supposed to produce sometime in the future. Who knows when that's going to be. But yeah, they only have a couple movies, 2, maybe 3, if you count the Kevin Feige one. And there's like 7, 8, 9, maybe even 10 Star Wars shows slated for the next few years. So they're definitely going all in on Star Wars on Disney Plus. And the Marvel stuff, they definitely did go all in, and they definitely have a lot of stuff slated to come out on Disney Plus for Marvel in the next few years. But it really failed them. You can tell it really failed them, not just the shows, but also Black Widow. And then, like I said, Shang-Chi is coming out on Disney Plus on November 12th, and it seems like people just don't care. It seems like they're still expecting Disney Plus growth to be slowed. But let me know what you guys think about this whole situation. Do you think it's a big deal that Marvel and Star Wars might be in trouble because of the Disney Plus growth being slowed in September? What do you think about Bob Chapek coming out and saying that about the Disney Plus growth being slowed? Let me know what you think in the comments about this whole situation. If you did enjoy this video, please leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. If you want to follow me on Twitter, links to have in the description as well. Thank you for watching the video. Hope to see you in the next one.